First things first, you had a body go down today, or update us on what happened?
As far as I know, it was just a like a flu type symptom. So yeah, I don't think it was no injuries.
Who was it?
Jacarius Bradley.
Okay. Now you did get to see the other guys that you brought in. First off, who impressed you?
You know, it was a really good workout. It was pretty evenly balanced, and with a few really good shooters, and R.J. Hunter and Phil Green kind of stood out as far as shooters, and then defenders and athletes with Terry Rozier and J.P. Tokido, and then Tequil Cotton, good athletes, and really got after it, and it was you know, well competing, and just good all-around play.
Your impressions of what you saw from Rozier?
You know, he played well. He showed us that he is a point guard. I think that was kind of the biggest thing with him is he didn't play on the ball that much at Louisville, and I think throughout this process he's trying to prove that at the next level he can play on the ball. And in this workout he did really well at that. He attacks the rim hard. It's a hard situation to really see his playmaking ability, just because with 5-on-5 you can kind of see how he dissects the game and get him in different situations. So in this situation it's a little tougher with just the 3-on-3, and the spacing's not as great. But you know, when he hits a seam and he kind of gets in the lane and creates from there, it's pretty impressive.
What did you see from the coach's son, R.J. Hunter?
He's exactly that. He's a coach's son. He's a good player. He is automatic from just about anywhere on the floor when it comes to shooting. And you know, he's just he's trying to prove that he's more than just a shooter, and I think he showed that. He's good with the handle. He you know, he passes the ball well, I think better than what people give him credit for. And the biggest knock on him is probably just his strength, and that's something where, you know, fresh out of college, he's not going to show that yet, but you know that, you know, when he puts in the time and the effort, like he'll put on the weight and he'll be fine.
As you mentioned, this is his 14th workout. When you get to this point and guys have had this many, is it as much about just seeing mentally how they're able to push themselves to be competitive and not show fatigue?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of have to take that into account, because it's one of those things where towards the end of the process, you know that they're probably better athletes than they're showing, because 14 workouts, that's a lot of travel, it's a lot of teams doing this exact same thing. So you take that into account, and you really you have to kind of, you know, look at it a little differently with a guy like him, where a lot of his game is based on explosion and really getting to spots and you know, taking an advantage of just going through guys. And with a guy like him, you know, a slight bit of fatigue, like he's not going to look as good as he probably can, but you know, we take it into account, and we don't hold it against him at all.
You mentioned RJ trying to prove he's more than a shooter. He was here talking about growing up as a coach's son, watching tape with his dad since he was 6. So he said he feels like he's light years ahead in terms of being able to recognize things on the floor. Is that something you can see when you're talking about him being a better passer than he gets credit for, things like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. He's the type of guy that he almost sees plays, you know, one in advance of what everyone else does. You know, he knows where he needs to be defensively on the floor. He knows that if he gets to a certain spot and a rotation comes, there's going to be a guy open exactly where they'll be. I mean, I think the difference is that at Georgia State, he was expected to shoot it so much, and if he didn't score for them, they struggled. And so he did show some passing there, but now, you know, on a court with all-stars and whatnot, like, he's not going to be relied on to score as much, so where he'll be able to display that a lot more. And I think he's kind of just scratching the surface as far as knowing when to shoot and when to pass as he gets more comfortable as a distributor, and I think it'll come.
So you get to see these guys on video, you maybe see them in person play, and then you bring them into your gym, you see that. But how about just when you meet them as people and pick their brain a little bit? Not maybe the crazy questions, but just sort of get to know their character. How much does that sway your opinion as to who you might take?
I don't think it would ever probably sway us, as it does come into account. I mean, we really like to get to know them as people, and it really, if anything, it might it might rule guys out if they're on the negative side, as far as, you know, just personalities or the way they treated our staff, or just you know, answered questions, you know, just like typical interview type things. And I don't know if it would ever, like, if we came down to two guys, like, and I don't think we'd ever pick someone based on, you know, how they were in the locker room, like if they were neck and neck. But I definitely think it comes into account, and I think that it really, it's a good way to kind of get a feel for the types of guys that we're looking for our culture, for sure.